Hello, I'm Kayla Hansmann, a registered dietitian here in Cincinnati. And on behalf of the Spina Bifida Coalition of Cincinnati, I would like to welcome you to the fourth and final session of NOURISH. NOURISH is an acronym for nutritious cooking, budgeting, and preparing recipes for sustaining health. I'm very excited to be sitting here with a group of adults with spina bifida who were recruited by the Spina Bifida Coalition of Cincinnati, who will be joining me tonight alongside Meg Galvin, a certified executive chef from the Midwest Culinary Institute, Cincinnati State. This program is sponsored by the Elsa Heisel Stool Foundation and the Kroger Foundation. This is the fourth and final presentation in the NOURISH program. Previously, vitamins, minerals, and protein for improved health, lowering cal intake, and the importance of fiber-rich diet were discussed. We hope to continue to improve your nutrition education tonight as we discuss the topic of hydration and how it hopefully impacts not only how you look at drinks and hydration, but how you purchase food and consume meals throughout the day. So again, tonight we will be discussing hydration. So the objectives of this particular session are to determine individual fluid goals, relate the importance of good hydration to bladder, brain, and skin health, identify ways to increase water consumption, especially during times of depletion, be familiar with foods that contain high water content, connect the importance of fiber intake and water consumption. So going into the importance of water, your body, all parts of your body depend on water to survive. Every cell, every tissue, every single organ in your body needs water to work properly. So within that, your body also uses water to maintain its temperature, to remove and excrete waste from our body, and also to lubricate our joints. Just generally speaking, our water is needed for overall good health and maintenance. So what does it mean to be hydrated or to be well hydrated? It differs from person to person, and it also is very seasonally related. It can even differ from person to person based on your current body weight, what you are now versus what you were, 3 months ago. It's also important to realize that thirst isn't always the best indicator that you need to drink. If you get thirsty, you're already dehydrated. So the easiest thing you can do is pay attention to the color of your urine. Pale and clear means you're well hydrated. Dark and cloudy, need to drink more fluids. So determining water needs. As I previously mentioned, water intake hydration status varies from person to person. Some say a very blanket statement of 8 8-ounce glasses of water a day, equivaling 64 ounces in total. Some need more, some need less than that. Because water makes up half of our body's weight, it's encouraged to take your body weight in pounds, divide that by 2, and that would give you your goal in ounces per day. So let's say that we have a 100-pound child or female individual, and we divide that by 2, their goal in ounces per day is 50 ounces. In terms of hydration, we know there's a lot of fluids out there on the market, different types of, beverages across the spectrum, a lot of special waters, and, are they worth it? So we'd like to caution against any sort of, fruit juices or sugary drinks such as soda, Gatorade, and, anything labeled as juice, whether or not, they're made up of 100% juice or not. They're definitely, especially hard on your stomach if you're already dehydrated. They can, kind of cause some upset and cramping. In terms of, sugary drinks and soda, they're definitely also not giving you that full hydration factor that water is doing. So, again, word to the wise on that. And then also best to kind of watch drinks that contain caffeine. They act as diuretics, and they actually cause you to lose fluids by pulling water out of our system. So there's times in your life and throughout the day and throughout the season that you might need more water than your typical allotment. And in those times, such as increased physical activity during the hot, heat summertime, also really, periods of high humidity, any times with illness, when you're sick, When your body is in some sort of state of stress or inflammation, it requires more water to maintain homeostasis. Certain medical procedures may require, increased water for hydration. Heart conditions can also, negotiate higher needs for water in terms of maintaining a healthy blood pressure and making sure that, volumes aren't depleted and causing your heart rate to go up. Also, as we age, it's important to make sure we're getting as much as we need because our brain doesn't recognize that same dehydrated state as quickly as we do when we're younger. Also, in times of pregnancy or breastfeeding, water needs are increased to help the supply for the child. So, are there any circumstances or times that we can get too much water? And in some cases, it is. It's possible to take in too much water if you have certain health conditions, thyroid disease, kidney, liver, or heart problems. Or if you're taking certain medications that make you retain water, such as NSAIDs or opiate pain medications, and then some antidepressants. So, in the case of some of these, make sure you talk with your doctor. Make sure you're finding out if there's, certain, especially with kidney and fluid shifts, if there's any sort of indication that you need to watch how much you're drinking. In the case of edema, if you're known to have edema in any of your extremities, drinking excess water paired with a high salt diet can increase your swelling, increase your edema, and overall, kind of limits your daily intake there. So again, this isn't a super common thing, but it's definitely out there, especially within special populations. Just, be known to ask your doctor if you're concerned. So some signs of dehydration would be little or no urine, as we talked about, or urine that is darker than usual. Dry mouth is also a sign of dehydration, but also be known that certain medications, the side effect of them might be dry mouth. So again, looking to some of those other signs and symptoms throughout the day. Sleepiness or fatigue, extreme thirst, or even a headache can be associated with too little fluids. Further confusion, cognition changes, again, out of the norm for that, dizziness or lightheadedness, no tears when crying. Again, very, kind of end of the line symptoms, but definitely, very, very extreme. So wanting to make sure that they're being addressed. The key message here is don't wait until you notice some of these symptoms. Actively prevent dehydration by just drinking plenty of water often and early throughout the day. In terms of water and constipation, constipation is one of the most common GI complaints in the U.S. It's also a typical condition associated with spina bifida. Constipation can also make urinary infections worse as it increases fluid retention in the bladder. So in turn, to kind of, again, prevent and even correct this if the time comes, consumption of fiber and water seem to relieve and prevent constipation. In the realm of bladder health, too little fluid can be bad as it leads to a buildup of body waste products in your urine. A very highly concentrated urine is, again, that dark yellow. It has a strong smell. It can irritate your bladder, which increases your urge to go, and the frequency which you need to do so. And again, this buildup of body waste products can also lead to increased UTIs and infections there. So bladder training is, one method of kind of sticking to a schedule and going to the bathroom, even sometimes when you don't necessarily feel that urge to do so. Other devices and portable options are great if you're on the go or unable to get, out of a bed or out of the wheelchair in time to do so. Again, another thing is, time when you're drinking water. Doing so earlier in the day will avoid some of that overnight and nighttime urgency. So urinary tract infections, kind of honing in on this a little bit more. Does drinking more water help prevent UTIs? So again, drinking water, drinking fluids, getting, a lot of water in to dilute bacteria and flush it out of the bladder is important. Because again, cloudy urine can also be a sign of increased bacteria or when mucus is augmented in bladders. So again, more water, keep it flushing, keep it moving through. So in terms of skin health, Claims have been made that drinking water can give you a radiant or healthy, younger looking skin. Others say it doesn't necessarily have an effect on skin's appearance, but skin is an organ. It's made up of water. So if your skin isn't getting, the sufficient amount that it needs, that lack of hydration will present itself there by turning your skin dry, tight, flaky, just not, that healthy looking skin. So dry skin has less resilience. It's more prone to wrinkling. Just generally more vibrant, adequate hydration can enhance that skin suppleness. And then really important there too, it helps you avoid pressure sores and assist in wound healing when that time, if it comes. Water and sodium, or, in terms of water and salt, many Americans, we consume too much salt. The current recommendation is not to exceed 2.4 grams of sodium a day, which is the equivalent of about 1 teaspoon of table salt. When you consume too much salt, your body does try to dilute it by holding on to as much water as it can. They're attracted to each other, so again, you kind of feel that bloated feeling when this happens. So to help your body dilute the excess salt and decrease bloating, again, drink water. So brain and cognition, again, very important on the neurological side of things. In a state of dehydration, your body will actually be unable to perform its normal functions, including attention and memory, to the ability it would in a hydrated state. Kind of going back into sodium, there's shifts there. Electrolyte levels are changing. And so that also, the shifts and the dips there have been linked to cognitive changes as well. Finally, in the realm of cognition and brain, dehydration causes an increase in the cerebral spinal fluid in our brain. And so that increase in volume actually creates a further distance between the brain and the protective outer coating, which increases our risk of concussion if we were to fall and hit our head. So again, kind of being mindful of, the later impacts of some of this. So how to increase water intake: keeping a bottle of water with you during the day, carry your reusable water and fill it as you go. So some people like to have a couple of bottles of water already filled up and ready. It just kind of helps them, keep going, keeping on top of things. But if you don't like the taste of plain water, try adding a slice of lemon or lime to your drink. Again, drinking water before, during, and after physical exercise and movement is important. Again, being proactive and keeping up on it as you go. It's important to drink when you're feeling hungry. Water. Thirst is often confused with hunger, and true hunger won't be satisfied by drinking water. So if you have trouble remembering to drink water, you can kind of drink on a schedule. For example, drink water when you wake up, at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and when you go to bed. Or another way to kind of do this is drink a small glass of water at the beginning of each hour. If you're going out to eat at a restaurant, drinking water there will help keep you hydrated, and it is also free. There's definitely, as we mentioned, a lot of other types of hydration out there on the market. Electrolyte drinks such as Gatorade, Powerade, and those are especially, kind of marketed and meant for individuals, elite athletes, people that are working out for 2, 3, multiple hours a day, sweating profusely. And while they may be helpful if you are kind of in a state of dehydration with their sodium and potassium content, on a day-to-day basis, it's probably not necessary for the average American. So again, going back to water being that best source is important. In terms of coconut water is kind of one of those trendy things right now that, may taste good to some, may not taste great to others at all. And you can kind of rest assured it's not something that, again, you definitely need to add to your diet, because it's, oftentimes not necessary. And then again, just kind of an extra source of unneeded calories. In terms of tea, sweetened versus unsweetened, always preference being towards the unsweetened tea. And that, again, it's not providing those extra, empty calories, and, providing, hydration in that sense. Tea, again, with caffeine, caution against that diuretic effect, and making sure, again, you're still supplementing with extra water, and noting that tannins, it's actually an antioxidant that's found in tea. may prevent the absorption of calcium if consumed in conjunction with each other. So again, kind of being aware of that and consuming, your calcium-rich foods an hour before or at least an hour after consuming your tea. So if you're someone that likes to drink sweet tea or unsweetened tea with breakfast, and that's usually when, you're having your bowl of cereal or your yogurt or cottage cheese, you might want to rethink when at least you're having that meal or at least that drink. Because again, the antioxidants, which are beneficial, can kind of block that calcium or compete for calcium absorption. So yeah. Um, yes. So yeah. So the question being, does it matter, the type of tea, green tea versus black or whatever it may be? And it doesn't. So there may be um, different composition of tannins within the various types of teas, but in general, just kind of classifying them as the same thing and, heeding caution when consuming calcium. Yeah. So there's also now a lot of carbonated fruit flavored waters out there, LaCroix, bubbly, Spindrift, and those are all, good sources of hydration. So some sites will state that it's not the same as water, but in general, they're not providing any extra calories. They um, usually typically don't contain caffeine, and so it may be slightly different, but in terms of your best bang for your buck, if you're going for something to add a little flavor, those would be a good option for doing so. Just sometimes it can almost fill you up a little bit more with the carbonation, so make sure that that doesn't impede you from getting your full amount of water throughout the day. Crystal Light, there's different powder packs out there. Again, this is just something that you kind of have to be an avid consumer, check the ingredients list. And in general, if there's ingredients on there that you don't know what they are and your grandmother wouldn't be able to pronounce them, may not be the best source of hydration. So again, just kind of keeping in mind, keeping your eyes peeled as you're buying some of these different things. There's also out there on the market some liquid IV packets that I started seeing more and more. And again, it's the improved effect may be very minuscule, and it's not something that I think is worth the money per se. If you're in a state of being that dehydrated, I would say it's more important to call your doctor, seek medical help versus turning to a powder pack or something that's out there on the market that might increase that consumption. Also, another really, really good way to do this is just take your own water, add some fruit. It may be chopped up fruit you had in a fruit salad, maybe frozen fruit that's just, needs some use. It kind of gives that, it melts a little bit. It gives that natural flavor, natural sugars that are good for us. So again, take some of that fruit, keep a pitcher in the fridge, and just kind of keep refilling it as you go. Any more questions on these? I know that there's a lot of different products out there, but yeah, perfect. All right. So again, we do get obviously most of our water from drinking water and other fluids, but you can also consume a significant amount of water by including a variety of different foods in our diet. About 20% actually of the water that we ingest come from food. So if you're drinking enough, eating some of these foods, you probably will have no problem reaching your daily goals. So aptly named, watermelon is actually 92% water. Strawberries, cantaloupe, peaches, and oranges are all, again, kind of in that 90% water category. Skim milk is actually kind of high up there on the list. So it just shows how much milk is actually in skim milk, right? So skim milk, 91% is actually water. Plain yogurt is a pretty high consumption of water as well. Cucumber, lettuce, zucchini, again, a lot of these vegetables out there, celery, tomatoes, bell peppers, cauliflower, again, all high in water. So we can, also get fiber and water along the way, that double effect of those. Different broths and soups, again, kind of being, mindful of, again, the sodium content. I know we'll touch on this a little bit later with Meg. She'll show us, we're going to be making a lentil soup, so she'll probably touch on the sodium content of different broths, different stocks. how to make our own and control what we put in it, so that again we can, knowing that our we're not adding too much salt in there. So smoothies, another good way. Again, on our menu for tonight, we'll show how we can add in some liquids with that, with not only the water or the milk, but also some of those fruit sources. This kind of gives a sample day in the life of how, we can add in some of those options, not only food, but drinks that contain a high amount of water and also fiber. So nutrient dense, fiber filled, and water throughout the day. So it may look like something like a smoothie with a low sugar granola or cereal for breakfast with that side of maybe milk. Lunch, grilled chicken salad with some of that chopped romaine lettuce that's good and high in water, red bell pepper, and then also even pairing that with whole wheat pita and some strawberries, side of water, again, always increasing that. Snack, maybe Cheerios with some skim milk or yogurt, side of fresh blackberries, blueberries. Dinner, maybe adding in that lentil soup from tonight, or even pairing that with, chicken fajita and some of those peppers and onions and all that good stuff paired with some cantaloupe. I know my stomach is growling now talking about all this food. And again, we touched on this a little bit last time, but you can still eat out and get some of those foods on the go that are getting good fiber and getting some water. So smoothies from Smoothie King. Caution, beware of the sugar in these. So again, checking the back of the label, asking for the nutrition facts. But again, there's a lot of options out there that are still getting in your fruits, your veggies, your water all at the same time. Breakfast oatmeal from McDonald's or even Starbucks, asking for light brown sugar, adding a little bit more water on the side. There's soups, there's salads out at Wendy's. Panera, Zoop is another good one. But again, the more that we can ask for ingredients list, lower sodium options is beneficial in that regards. So again, some final pointers and take-home notes is that being preventative, I think I said that a lot tonight, but the more that you can stay ahead of the 8 ball and drinking water, it's super crucial and beneficial. So especially when your heart is working hard, we don't want to put any more stress on any of our other organs. So kind of think as water is the key to helping everything fuel properly, stay well hydrated, those joints moving together nice and smooth. So otherwise you're playing catch up, and when you're playing catch up, your heart's not happy. Your urinary tract, your bladder, your bowel, your brain is not happy. So definitely an underutilized nutrient in a lot of regards, but water is best. Water is, crucial. So any thoughts, questions, concerns, anecdotes? No? All right. So tonight's menu will be making blackberry smoothie and then a life-saving lentil soup. So two simple recipes, two very delicious recipes. So excited for that. All right. Any other questions? Awesome. Thank you guys.